Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Heaters In podcast. Today we're joined by Thomas and Nicholas. You may know Tom as Kevin Meyers from the American Pie movie franchise. Tom's heading down to Australia to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the first movie with the American Pie Emo Night. There's 9 shows around the country. You'll see Tom doing a DJ set at some. There'll be movie screenings and Q&As at some, live music at some, and at some, just all 3. So Tom brings us up to date on that. He also brings us up to date on his new TV series and some really interesting facts about his life and American Pie. So like always, like, subscribe and share. Make sure that you're hitting all the notification bells and follow us on socials. And just thanks for hanging out with us and tuning in.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey dude, how you doing?
Good. It's pretty early in Brisbane.
Not for a dad. Yeah. Anyway, you're here. You're actually going to be here next week. It's crazy to know how quick this has started to come up.
Yeah,
Um,
I get to skip next Wednesday altogether in my world.
you will, yeah. It's an interesting way to travel. I remember last time I came back from Vegas via LA. I got off the plane. It was 6 a.m. Brisbane time, and I was like, I think I have to go to work, but I'm not too sure. It's just that kind of thing that happens. But
Yeah, when Bowling for Soup went over, that was the first thing that Jarrett posted when he arrived into town. He goes, "How was Wednesday? I think we missed it."
yeah, we spent a lot of time with Jarrett and the Bowling for Soup guys late last year. So I ended up on stage with them taking all their bow photos here in Brisbane. But
Yeah, they're aren't they the best?
uh, and like people don't realize that sometimes when you have a band, you've got crew and like there's a lot of different dynamics, but their crew is just literally an extension of Bowling for Soup.
It's true, man. I mean, I'm just as much a fan of, Ian, Ito, Rial, and Wyatt. And then
Yep.
of course Dave.
You literally just, I remember walking up the side stage stairs and there was a bottle of tequila waiting, like, you ready? Yeah, they were just here like in December for festivals. So we did pre-festival interviews, festival interviews. It was just Jarrett was very accessible, even though the poor guy was actually really, really sick.
Oh, that's right. I know for the first time I've seen him in 2 years, he's been sick before, but never like where it affected his voice for a show, which
Yeah.
I think rarely happens to him. That guy is a machine, though. I don't know how he sings those songs night after night and for 30 years. And we laugh about it, or he laughs about it, because he never like used the trick of tuning down. So
Hmm.
he's still singing them like in record key, like
Yeah.
the key they are on the album. It's insane.
And easily. But you're down here, so it's essentially to celebrate the 25th anniversary of American Pie, which was 2024. But we're extending it. That's the way things work. We extend things.
Well, just the same way that Bowling for Soup is still celebrating their Hangover You Don't Deserve in the UK.
Yeah.
Sometimes travel plans get a little delayed. And look, we did American Reunion. We missed the 10-year anniversary by 3 years. So I figure, the next year is not too bad.
And we also lost a few years with a weird disease.
We don't need to talk about that BS.
Exactly. Now, Australians going to be lucky. You're doing 9 shows in different cities, but they're also all in different formats. So explain to everyone that's going to be watching or listening what those different formats are.
Well, basically, I mean, I've been touring with my band for, 15 years, played 1,000 shows in 12 countries. I've done retro screenings. I've been a guest DJ at different emo nights. So what this American Pie Emo Night tour is it's a combination of all 3 of those things. But there's also, just like a 3-course meal, sometimes people only want 1 course. So
Yeah.
each of the nights if you look at like the map key, I think I actually did one key wrong for the Wheatus show that I'm opening. It's going to be live music, not an emo DJ set. Even I got confused by
Yeah.
my own map guide. But each night is either a live show or an emo DJ set or a retro screening, and sometimes it's all three.
Yeah. So up here in Queensland, for people watching and listening, if you go to the Gold Coast show, you get all three. If you come to the Brisbane show, it's the retro screening. So when it comes to say the retro screening, is there going to be like a Q&A portion, meet and greet portion, things like that?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be there introducing the film, walk into the theater at the most inopportune moments when I'm doing crazy stuff on screen. Uh, no, I'm not planning on doing that, but that always inevitably happens that
Right.
I end up like walking in to do something and it's like, the tongue tornado.
Yeah.
And then I will be doing a Q&A after the film. And then, of course, yes, a meet and greet. There's a VIP meet and greet that I'm offering before the movie. Some people, want to do that beforehand and they can if they get the ticket. And then we'll kind of open things up to, people want to add on to that later. So you don't have to decide now. Just get your butts to the Royal Quarters in Brisbane. And then we also have Sunny Coast or Sunshine Coast at King's Tavern or King's Beach Tavern.
Yeah. And Mo's on the Gold Coast.
And then, yes, Moe's Desert Clubhouse on the Gold Coast for, again, all three
All three.
things. Yeah, we're watching the movie, doing the Q&A. My band's playing a set. My buddy Scott from Makeout's coming to play drums for me. I'm waiting to hear from another friend today about bass, so he's got to look through the set first. But I don't know if I want to call him out, but I will give him a shout out because Internet Friends is an awesome band, and obviously one of the guys is based in Brisbane. So I'm waiting to see if he wants to rip some bass for me.
Nice. Yeah, I almost sent the bass player from Wolfmother your way, but he's got a gig that day too.
Bummer. That would have
Yeah,
been awesome. You
yeah.
you could reach out to Tame Impala. They're apparently fans of American Pie. I should text Keith from Atlas Genius. I don't know if I didn't look and see what part of the world they're in, or if they're in the studio or what, or
Yep.
even where they live in Australia. They're probably close to Sydney or Melbourne, I would imagine, but I don't know.
It's a 1 hour flight, not hard.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the beauty of touring Australia. You can only fly to the major cities, which is,
Well, I just learned yesterday. So I was gonna fly to Brisbane and drive to Burleigh Heads, but now I'm just gonna fly to Gold Coast.
Gold Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, the little airport there, which I love smaller airports. It's so much easier than the major ones.
Well, the funny part is a lot of people from Brisbane will drive the extra hour. So it's an hour drive between Brisbane and Gold Coast. But we'll drive to the Gold Coast because the flights are like a third of the price.
I did find that they were a little cheaper as well.
Yep. Yeah. And the parking's cheaper too. So it's like, who cares?
Yeah,
I
well,
was,
I mean, I won't be parking any cars that I
yeah.
own.
Yeah. I was down there literally last Saturday night for a show down on the Gold Coast. So it was a late night, but it was worth it.
So, Andrew, you mentioned in the text when we got introduced that we did an interview
So
in
Bruce,
2008. I got to ask about this. Well, just sparkle my memory. Like, what outlet were you with? Like, what were
yeah.
we talking about?
So I
Tell
was
me.
starting my own outlet at the time. So I've known Bruce since forever, like a long time. And did
I love
work,
I love Bruce Kulick, by the way.
such
He's
a good guy.
amazing.
So I did work within the KISS camp and work for his band union. Um,
You know
and
who sold me my first acoustic guitar was Brent. He worked at Johnny Guitar across or yeah, Johnny Guitar across the street from Guitar Center.
that would have
And I
been like
bought
96 or 97, like
yes,
right when he first got in.
I bought a guitar, my first acoustic guitar, because I was using my mom's, and then I wanted to buy my own. I think I did a TV show, and like that was my, yay, you got a job. And then
Yep.
I ended up being Brett, and then cut to 2008. I become friends with Bruce, and then find out he's in a
Yeah.
band with Fitz. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, continue. I
And
interrupted,
Now Fitz lives in your birthplace.
and as does Kulik.
Kulik, Eric Singer. Gene had a place there for a while. Kiss just infiltrated Vegas as quick as they could. But yeah, Bruce reached out to me because he was doing BK3 with Jeremy
Oh no, are you talking about Jeremy Rubolino?
Rubelino. Yeah,
Yeah, we went to junior high school together.
right.
That's where we met.
Yeah. So yeah, he was doing that, and he's like, "Oh, I just played a track on this album. You should check it out." And at the time, I was going to launch my own publication. So rather than just do interviews for other publications, and he's like, "I'll hook you and Tom up." And we did a publication, and it went online, and the website just tanked because no one was interested at the time. So I put it to bed and went back to shooting gigs and working for other publications, and yeah.
Are you saying that I tanked
No,
your
I tanked it hard.
I
I
was like,
tanked.
am I somehow responsible for this?
No, in Australia, no one really embraced internet podcasts and like publications back then. Like now, they're everywhere. Like someone will wake up today and decide to do a podcast.
Right. Well, there's it's the age old thing. I mean, I remember 23, no, probably now 27 years ago, someone said we were having a conversation like, "Oh, we're moving into a subscription basis entertainment cycle." And I said, "Well, that's ridiculous. Who would ever subscribe to one studio's, library of films? It's
Yeah,
better to just get a package and have everything, which is, like the cable packages."
yeah,
And now look at us. Here, I got the Paramount Plus and the Disney Plus and the Netflix and the Amazon.
yeah. Well, speaking of, and there's Tubi, which underdeveloped. Your series is on. Um, it's funny that I've had Tubi on and off, and when you said, "Hey, it's on Tubi," I went and had a look, and it's a really funny mockumentary series. So I think I'm about 5 episodes in.
Nice.
Um, tell me how that came to be. How did that get developed?
Well, it is ironically underdeveloped, the
Well
title of
done.
the show, but you did ask how it was developed. Sorry, dad jokes.
Yes. Well
Uh,
done.
yeah, you're welcome. Um, my business partner and I, which I've been producing films for the last, well, since like 2004. And so I've done, maybe like a half dozen films, and I linked up with my business partner. We did one for Lions, or a couple for Lionsgate, one for Sony, one for Redbox, and so we were starting to develop a film for Universal. We had had a good pitch meeting with the president over there, and so we had posted up at an office right before the strike at Warner Brothers. And so while we were developing this feature and we're in this like awesome office space on the Warner lot, my business partner Brian Metcalf pitches to me, "Hey, what about doing like an office type show, but we're in a production office
Yep.
and we're all just, inept producers." And I was like, "Wait, you want to suddenly do a comedy now? We've been doing like drama and, horror genre films for years, thrillers, all this stuff, head to head with Mickey Rourke, and now you want to like swap gears and work with Tom Arnold?"
Yep.
And I of course berated him over it, but then he sent me the first draft of the pilot, and I was like, "Oh, wow, this actually is really funny. Like,
Yeah.
okay, let's do it." So as I mentioned, I can't tell you too many details, but we are in some heavy talks about a season two. So hopefully more info on that soon.
Great. So yeah, Aussies, get on Tubi and have a look. Without there's no you can't really compare it, but if you want to imagine like a really crude humor version of The Office based in movie world, you'll find it. It's just I can't even describe like how crude the humor is. Like there's some great stuff in it. And because I've got a bit of a sick mind, I really connected with it.
Nice, nice. Well, I think the fun part was, I remember Brian saw my son in M. Night Shyamalan's movie Old and thought that he was the highlight of the film. And, I was like, oh, he must just be biased because it's my kid. But then he wanted to have him in the TV show. So my son, Nolan, plays Tom Arnold's son on the show.
Yeah.
So we actually go head to head as rivals, which was so much fun to have that experience on screen with my son.
When he first came in his first scene, he was already the best way. I can sort of describe it. You can tell in his eyes he was there to fuck shit up.
Yeah, he was. I remember like saying to him, like, "You're Dennis the Menace," and he goes, "What's that?" I'm like, "Okay,
Oh, okay.
just do your own thing. You're fine."
Yeah. And as a parent, you can tell when when one of your kids gets a certain look in their eye, stuff's about to go down. And I could see it from afar, see it through the TV. I'm like, oh, here we go.
Oh yeah,
And
no,
he he steals everything. He really does.
I know. I remember when we were doing the scenes, like every one of the cast was just like sidebarring me, like, I can't believe like that's your kid. And I'm like, yeah, essentially he's better than I was at his age. So,
Is acting something he wants to pursue, or has he got other plans?
I mean, he's got that plan. Yeah, he's wholehearted into it. My daughter is now interested as well. She's been in acting school, refining her technique and craft. So I mean, I support it. I mean, I love the arts and music, and my son is a fantastic actor. He's also a fantastic piano player. They've both decided they want to learn how to play drums. My daughter plays piano. My son wants me to teach him guitar. Like, I love it. I'm in for it because
Hmm.
anytime that I'm doing music or acting with my kids, that's like me getting to play catch with them. I,
Yeah.
you know, I may have done a sports film, but I didn't grow up as a sports kid. So like that sort of bonding experience for me is like working on a scene prep or learning a part of music. And it's like that, I don't know, there's just something that's just intangible in that I love.
No, I completely understand that. Last time Fitz was here with Slash, took my 11-year-old in the photo pit, only with a phone, and he just went mental taking photos to the point that
That
Slash came over, stood in front of him, waited for him to get his shots, then leant down, gave him a pick, went back to the show,
that's amazing.
and then
Slash is pretty cool. I didn't get a chance to meet him, but he once was at my show at the Viper Room in about 2010, 2011, somewhere around there.
yeah,
And I remember my guitar player went to the bathroom, bumped into Slash on the way, and Slash was like, "Hey man, I dig your tone." And like my guitar player, like he was like, "Okay,
yeah,
I'm done. I'm retired."
yeah.
Slash complimented my guitar tone. I retire. I'm over.
That was the thing. Like he says, "People, I can't see through those glasses." Like when he's on stage, and he said to my son Isaac, he's like, "Did you get the good shot? Did you get the pick?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, of course I did." So now he wants to go in a pit with a camera at a show.
That's the thing about working in any kind of industry. Once you get access to a certain thing that you don't normally have,
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to go back.
it is.
Once you have backstage access, you go to a show and you're like, "Oh, I can't go backstage." Well, I mean, this is a great show and everything, but I just don't feel the same.
Yeah. Well, it's 30 years next year since I shot my first gig. Funnily enough, Bruce Kulick.
Amazing.
Yeah. So no, I understand the what we don't get to go. What? Why? But as I say to my wife every gig, if you act like you belong there, you belong there.
For sure. I, I
Don't.
still remember the first time that I met Bruce. I was recording the first single for the Without Warning record, and
Yep.
we were doing it at his brother, may he rest in peace, Bob's studio. And Bruce brought over his actual 57 Les Paul. And I remember it was like a Spinal Tap moment where like the case got opened up and we're like, are we allowed to look at it?
Yep. Yeah. Look the other way.
Yeah. Whatever you do, don't look at it.
Yep. Now I got to ask, as someone who was born and bred in Vegas, what was it like getting to play Sinatra?
Well, I will at least admit I was born there, but I did not grow up in Vegas.
Right.
Though I have a different Sinatra and Sinatra Jr. Connection that's probably maybe even beyond anything you know.
Right.
Uh, my grandmother on my mom's side was born in Fremantle.
Yep.
And there's that whole connection there. And obviously my great great grandfather was Ned Kelly's uncle and all this cool stuff with Australia. But
Cool.
you asked me about Sinatra and Sinatra Jr. My grandfather on my dad's side was a stand-up comedian. So my grandmother was in vaudeville, and my grandfather on the other side, who was a stand-up comedian, he used to open for the Jackson Five, for Frank Sinatra, and for Frank Jr. So
Wow.
after I portrayed Frank Jr. in the film Stealing Sinatra about his 1963 kidnapping, I got invited by Frank Jr., may he rest in peace, to see him in Vegas. So I went backstage after to meet him after the show. Randomly, Vince Vaughn was there. I don't know why. But it's Vegas. You never know when you're going to
Yep.
run into Vince. And so uh, I went to meet him and I let him know, hey, I did the role as respectfully as I could, honoring like the dramatic nature of it. I know it was a touchy subject for you, and you probably didn't want the film to be made, but I respected it. And his response to me was reciting one of my grandfather's stand-up jokes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you
So,
floored?
oh, I was floored. I did not expect that. I wanted to tell him about my grandfather, and then before I even could, he did that. So yeah, it was a pretty cool experience all the way around.
Amazing. Do you still have relatives in Fremantle?
I do, yeah. I was super bummed that on this first tour, because I've been trying to get a tour in Australia since 2015. I've, failed attempts every couple of years, and this time I just wasn't taking no for an answer, which is why I kind of split the tour into, listen, if you just want one
Yeah.
of the meal of the three-course meal, fine. I just want to get there and get the first one out of like finally happening.
Yeah.
I tried so hard to get over to Perth.
Yep.
And I would have flown there like same day and then flown back, and everyone's like, "Oh, you can't do that." I'm like, I do that crap in the States all the time. It's
Yep.
about the same flight from LA to New York as it is from Sydney to Perth.
It is. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it didn't work out this time, which I'm super bummed. So I get to see like I think one cousin who lives outside of Melbourne, but not my like the cousin who I'm the closest with, who ironically got married in Vegas, who lives in Fremantle. But
Right.
yeah, hopefully next time I'll come back over and make it to see my family on the West Coast.
Awesome. Now, are you going to have merch at the shows? Because you've got now, was it four full lengths and a couple of EPs?
I do, yeah. I think I'm sold out of Without Warning, the first album. I need to do a reorder. Um, but yeah, I've got a bunch of full length albums. I mean, yes, what is it? I don't you probably did it. We'll go with your count,
Yeah.
Andrew. That
Yeah, it's
sounds good.
four. And like
Four, yeah.
last year, We're Gonna Be Okay is out.
Yes. And then I have like a secret full length album, which was supposed to be the seventh release, but I never did it. I did like nine singles during lockdown. And then when I wrote the 10th song with the early November, I liked it so much that I was like, I can't just put this with the other nine songs, and they've already come out. So I started the We're Gonna Be Okay album.
Right.
But I just recently printed those to CD, mainly for my Patreon
Yep.
family that's been like supporting me on Patreon since 2020. This like core group of awesome people.
That's excellent.
But yeah, I will have merch with me. I'm getting some t-shirts, a limited run of t-shirts ordered that will be. It's hard to take them because obviously I've got to do some
Yeah.
flights. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm getting them from outside of Sydney or what I'm doing. We'll
Yep.
figure it out.
Cool.
Uh, but yeah, so I've got like the American Pie Emo Night t-shirt and the Stifler's Mom t-shirt that I'll have on hand, a limited supply, as well as my albums. I'll have American Pie pictures, Rookie of the Year baseball cards, a few vinyl. I mean, the idea is I'll probably sell out by before the tour is over, but I'll bring what I can.
Excellent. Now, are you going to be playing 1999?
Oh, for sure. At every show. Are you kidding? When I opened for Bowling for Soup and even Jarrett's country band,
Yep.
I have permission from Jarrett to do my rendition of
Right.
1999, which is pretty funny because like, to open for a band and then play like one of their biggest songs
Yep.
is the most like faux pas thing you could do. But that just goes to show you, as you already know, how cool Jarrett is.
Yeah. And the funny part about it is, I reckon almost the whole world doesn't know it's an SR-71 song that Bowling for Soup made famous, and then you retooled.
Well, so here's the thing, like, and obviously you know the story well.
Yeah,
Yes, SR-71 wrote the original version and released it in Japan, but then Jarrett did make some changes, and
yeah,
obviously, Mitch and Jarrett are friends, and Mitch actually heard 1999 and said that he liked it. So I have
right.
Mitch and Jarrett's approval for the parody.
So what's the set going to look like with your band? Is it going to be like tracks from the movie, tracks from your solo records? What's the plan?
Yeah, it's going to be a mix of both. Of course, we're going to play also my parody version of Stacy's mom that I
Yep.
call Stifler's mom. Or as I say when I'm opening for Bowling for Soup, my favorite Bowling for Soup song.
Yeah.
Any BFS fans understand that one.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's going to be a mixture of my favorite songs from the soundtracks, as well as a lot of the stuff from my seventh album, and then I might dip into some other covers and maybe a couple oldies from the old albums. I'm trying to remember. I have so many different sets going on right now,
Yep.
from like the UK tour and the US tour and the Canada tour. I'd have to like literally pull up my set list right now to see what I sent the bands in
Right.
Australia
Yep.
to tell you
So
what's up. Yeah.
are you bringing your band over, or is it just going to be a local band here?
It's just gonna be me. Like, so for instance, at the opening show with Wheatus at
Yep.
the Loft inside the Underground, that's just acoustic. And then the next night is the screening with Movie Nerds
Yep.
at in Sydney at the Orpheum. And then Saturday night's just an emo DJ set for AM PM. And then Sunday is obviously the whole package. For that one, Scott from Makeout is coming, and like I said, I'm trying to get Rossi from Internet Friends to come play bass. So
Yep.
hopefully he says yes today.
Great.
Um, and then for the show in Cowra, the guy that booked it for me is a drummer, and his band, him and the bass player from the Bon Jovi cover tribute act are going to jam with me. And the
Great.
last show in Newcastle will be John and Luke. So John and Luke used to be in a band called Cambridge with my buddy Bradley Smith,
Okay.
um,
Yep.
who I'm crashing with in Sydney. And then John also, I think, plays drums for the Blink 182 tribute act that I was trying to put together a show with them, but I don't think it worked out this round unless something pops up. There's a couple dates that have kind of fallen through at the last minute. So
Yep.
I've got a hole in the middle of the tour that at any one time someone could hit me with a last minute, do you want to go here? And I'll be like, where am I flying?
Well, this interview will go up today. I'll turn it around really quick so we can get it out and, you know, have the internet work its magic.
Work its magic. Well, hopefully they'll be into it. I'm super stoked about it, and I know it's going to be a good time. And I can't tell you how excited I am to finally 10 years in the making
Yep.
of finally doing a tour in Australia.
What have your fellow American Pie castmates said, if anything, about the shows that you're doing? Have you gotten any feedback from them?
I do a lot of the Comic-Con events with them.
Yep.
Eddie K. Thomas and Chris Klein both don't understand how I have the energy that I have.
Right.
Because I'll do a Comic-Con all day and then go play a show and they just go to bed.
Yep.
And they don't understand like how then I'll close a bar down and then be back at the table at the Comic-Con the next morning and they're more tired than I am. Tara Reid always, if we do an event together, she always comes out to support. She's a good friend and a big fan of my music, so that's always a lot of fun.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think like the rest of the cast are kind of the same boat. Like whenever we do events together, they're not late night owls like me. I think I'm
Yep.
the only guy that like doesn't sleep. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. So ending up today, I want you to give everyone the big sales pitch on these shows because you know we really want everyone to come out. As you said, it takes a lot to come to Australia. In Australia, you don't really realize how much legwork it is to get an Australian tour together. So we want to see all these shows filled to capacity. So let's go with the sales pitch.
I mean, here's the sales pitch. and it doesn't matter like what it takes for me to get there, honestly. That's my own cross to bear. No big
Yep.
deal. 15-hour flight, whatever, miss Wednesday, whatever.
Yep.
If you want to have a good time, because the one thing I can tell you is that everyone who comes to my shows, it's like going to a Bowling for Soup show. You don't understand how awesome it's going to be until you're there. And then you go, "Oh man, I'm so glad I came." So if you want to feel good and have a good night, then come to one of the shows. That's plain and simple. If you would rather just be like Chris Klein and Eddie K. Thomas, respectively Finch and Oz, and just go to bed at 9 p.m., then fuck off.
Exactly. And what people may not realize is you almost didn't do the movie. You were really put off by the first reading, weren't you?
I threw the script in the trash, admittedly. I thought it was smut and the first scene was a little bit different. The original script was Kevin and Vicky starting the movie with Vicky instructing Kevin on how to use his fingers. I'll let you put the rest together in your mind. And then the end of the film was Kevin putting the book or the Bible back in the library. And
Yeah.
that was the original script. So when I read that first scene, I didn't even make it past that because as soon as I saw like two high schoolers and I was 17 and I
Yep.
was like, I'm doing what in this scene? Like that's
Yeah.
not just like that's not a love scene. That's like pornography. And
Yep.
I, I just turned it down immediately. Then, um, my friend, they offered it to my friend who I went to high school with, but he couldn't do it because he was working with the incredible Heath Ledger. May he rest in peace, who's also from Perth.
Yep.
Um, so he was doing 10 Things I Hate About You. So he couldn't do both films. The schedule wouldn't align mainly because of the band Save Ferris. So I joke with Monique when I met her a few years ago in England that I now lovingly refer to Save Ferris as Save Kevin. There was one day where they were shooting a scene with Save Ferris in 10 Things I Hate About You, and because of their tour schedule, they couldn't move it. And that was the day that
Wow.
meant that Andrew Keegan couldn't do American Pie. So I have Save Ferris to thank for the fact that he couldn't do it. That came back to me. Then I, of course, read the whole script and realized there was a lot more
Yep.
heart and layered characters. And it was a really, fun story that was more than just, a teen sex comedy. It was more
So
like a coming of age thing.
as we let you go today, Tom, the moral of the story is always read your smut twice.
Yes, I have learned to give to never judge a smutty book by its cover, even if the cover I most people don't want to like what the original title of the script said, right?
No.
It wasn't American Pie.
Right.
The working title when we shot it was East Great Falls High, which was, kind of like, Fast Times at Ridgemont High
Yep.
sort of thing. But the title that came to me that was pitched around town on the front cover of the script, it said, untitled teen sex comedy that you can make for under 10 million that most readers will hate, but I think you'll love.
Wow. That's like the imagine trying to make a website with that .com.
Well, I think that was just Adam Herz's way of getting the, people to, understand what it was and
Mm,
make a joke. And his humor is kind of like that. I mean, when we did American Pie 2 and Kevin was trying to get back with Vicky, there was so many rewrites on American Pie 2. Like, yeah, I don't know if you know, like when they do a rewrite, they call the color like it's the blue rewrite, the yellow, the pink,
right.
the orange. We got to like goldenrod. Like
Right.
they ran out of colors in the rainbow. And so at one point, Adam Herz was so tired of rewrites that he wrote a scene, a rewrite thing, and it said, Kevin so wants to get back together with Vicky so badly that he puts on a Superman costume, flies up into the sky, spins around the globe, causing the Earth to rotate backwards to go back in time and get together with Vicky, just as a joke, right? And
Would have
he gets a
worked.
phone call from the licensing department at Universal, and they say, is it possible that you could consider another superhero outfit because we're having a hard time licensing the Superman outfit?
Oh
And he's
no,
like, it's a joke, guys. It's a joke. I wasn't anyway. So that's
that's
Adam Persian's
fantastic.
humor.
Awesome, man. I'm gonna let you go. Rest up. You got a busy schedule ahead. You're heading to Canada pretty much straight away.
Oh yeah, good routing, I know.
I know. Well done.
Well,
Um,
that's because I didn't know I had to leave on Tuesday for Australia. I thought I was leaving on Thursday. So I was like, oh, I can go anywhere the weekend before.
yeah. Well, rest up. We'll see you at one of the shows here for sure. And everyone get out. This is going to be a fun night. It's going to be not just a trip down memory lane, but some really interesting surprises.
Right on, man. Andrew, thank you so much for a re-interview. I hope not to break the internet this time around.
We won't. We won't. The internet's fixed
The internet is has caught up with us.
with us. Yeah, we were always here.
Yeah, you were ahead of the curve.
Exactly. Trendsetter. Awesome, man. See you soon.
Right on, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.